everybody. Welcome back to my channel if you're a returning viewer, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel. So this is my ever-changing world. My goal here is to just be a regular person, a real-life person with real-life struggles, real-life problems, leftover makeup and hair from who knows how many days ago. Maybe the same clothing even from the day prior. And I want to just be real. So my thoughts are, and my goals are, to kind of check in every day and just let you know what I'm doing and what I'm up to and what's going on. I feel like I tend to think a little bit more outside the box than some, and this is just kind of a way for me to share the things that I've found, the things that I'm discovering, the things that I'm learning with other people in hopes that they benefit from them also. So yesterday I kind of caught you up with where I've been, where I am, what's going on. Today I want to talk a little bit about one of the things that I'm really passionate about, and that is just bringing the discussion of sex and sexuality and intimacy and all of that stuff into regular conversations. I feel like so much of this society, obviously I'm in the US, and I don't know how it is around the world, but in the country that I live in the state that I live in the town that I live in, sexuality and our bodies and being connected with them is just not something that's discussed very often. And I just think that's insane. I don't understand it, and I think that it should be. And so I have been on a journey for the last 2 years or so, reading books, listening to podcasts, having discussions with my husband, looking at Facebook groups. I'll make a separate video about Facebook groups. Gotta be careful with those sometimes. But the goal has been to rediscover my own sexuality. So I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm a convert. I joined the church in 2009 when I was in my late 20s, and was very grateful. No, 2008. Very grateful to join the church and learn about it and have so many friends within the church. But joining as a convert, I had been, around the block a few times. I had been married before. I was divorced, had been divorced when I joined the church. So obviously there had been some blocks that I had been around before. My husband and I got together. He had also been married prior. We got together. We had great chemistry. Our relationship was perfect, as are most at the beginning. We got married. Things were well. We started having kids, and things just sort of took a different stance. Our closeness shifted, our priorities shifted, the way that we communicate shifted, and I felt like, as a new mom who was breastfeeding at the time, I felt like, when I was pregnant and when I was nursing my children, I felt sort of conflicted about feeling sexy in that body. I felt like, on one hand, of course, yes, it's beautiful and natural and has been this way for thousands of years. And of course, a pregnant body is an attractive body. And of course, you can have sex while you're pregnant. There's nothing that says that you can't unless there's, a medical reason. But in general, of course you can. But I just felt like there was just a division in my mind of, yes, it's possible, but it also feels kind of weird. And I don't know, like betraying almost. Like, this is, my body is, the purpose of my body right now is for this child. And so that should be my goal, not to please my husband. And at the time, I didn't have, maybe it wasn't that I didn't have anybody, but I didn't have anybody that I felt comfortable kind of discussing this stuff with. And in retrospect, 10 years later, I wish that I had had sort of a mentor, somebody to take me, to go on the journey with me. And, oh, I've been there. Yes, I remember when I was first pregnant, I had these feelings and these thoughts, and I was in the same place you were, and here's how I dealt with it in a positive, healthy way that benefited my marriage instead of, limiting the communication in the marriage. I wish I had a mentor that could just took me on that journey with them, but I didn't. And so what happened for me, and I think what happens for a lot of women, and which is really one of the things I want to hit on with this channel, the reason that I want to have this channel, is to talk to those women out there that were me, those women that are me, those women that feel the same way and can, see themselves in my struggles. I want to prevent that for those people. And so for me, what happened was I got pregnant. I wasn't really sure how to navigate that. Then I had a new baby and all the things that come with that, the sleepless nights, the demand of being responsible for a new human. And then at the same time, you've got your husband who all along the way has been your main priority usually. And so now he's not the main priority. And so there's a dynamic there, a dynamic shift. And so that was hard. And then we sort of dealt with it, in ways that maybe weren't as healthy as they could have been. We came up with a routine and a system that worked for us, where basically I would meet his needs so that he felt satisfied. And at the time, I wasn't really that concerned about my needs. I was more concerned with my children's needs. And so I sort of paid attention to the children and then would satisfy my husband. And I felt like that's kind of what my job was. That was the role. So we had several kids, about 2 years apart. They're 22 and 23 months apart, all of them. We have 4 kids. And once we decided that we weren't going to have any more kids and kind of closed the factory, my youngest was about 2, and I realized, oh, well, what do we do now? Like, normally right now I would have an infant. I would have another little tiny person to take care of, but I don't right now. So what do I do? Where does my energy go? Where's my focus going to be? What's next here? And by that time, having 4 kids, with the youngest being 2, my older ones were out of naps, out of diapers. They were like real people. And then I had a 2-year-old who was in diapers and a 4-year-old who was out of diapers. So I had 1 child in diapers and 1 child napping. And that just kind of like opened up a lot of things. And I realized that my marriage just hadn't been the priority. And I realized that I wanted it to be the priority. So my husband and I talked about it and read books together. We listened to podcasts. And we really decided between ourselves to make it a priority to have our marriage be strong. And part of that meant making our, identifying the flaws and the errors and the miscommunications and the resentments and all the garbage that we had sort of gathered along the way with regards to, our sex life and our intimate relationship. And so we've just sort of been doing that. And so about 2 years ago, we started. I read Come As You Are, which is a fantastic book, absolutely changed my life. I read, what's the other one? Darn, should have been more prepared. I read several books. Loving What Is by Byron Katie. And then there was one that was kind of not really my exactly what I was looking for, but was also really interesting in a different perspective. It's all about, what's it called? It's all about how basically the things that you accept in your life, no matter how much you dislike them, on an unconscious level, you must be liking it because you keep setting yourself up for that situation. It's on the tip of my tongue. It has an X in it. Doesn't matter. I'll talk about it in my next video. I'll figure it out. So we read books together, we listened to them together, and we talked about them. And it was so beneficial because for so many years I had been saying, he works one way and I work a different way. And I wasn't sure if maybe the way that I worked was wrong or was broken or just not ideal, if there was something that, if it was my fault, that he could just, flip the switch and turn the corner from, I just finished wrestling with the kids in the living room and now they can't see us, so let's get all kissy and touchy and I'm into it. And I would feel like, whoa, I'm not there. What are you doing? Like, I need more warm up than this. Like, what's going on here? And he felt rejected by that. Why aren't you reciprocating? Why aren't you being as touchy as you could? How come when I want you, you don't want me back? And it wasn't that I didn't want him. It was just that I work differently and I didn't know it at the time. And so it created all these issues. And when we read these books, when we read Come As You Are, it was so helpful because she talked about the different types of people and how some people, women or men, can just flip the switch and they're good. Or maybe they don't even have to flip the switch. Maybe they're just good all the time. Day or night, busy, stressed, doesn't matter, give the green light and they are in. No problem. There are plenty of people that are like that. And there are plenty of people that aren't like that, like me, who need a little bit more warm up. And then once the warm up happens, sure, yeah, sounds like a great idea. But I can't just instantly change gears like that. So that was really, really helpful for us and helpful for him to know that it wasn't him. It's not a lack of desire on my part or a lack of attraction to him. It's just that I work differently than he does. And once he was able to recognize that, it just totally changed everything because then he was able to do the things that I need to start slow and build up, and then, then we're on the same page. Where he starts, I could get to. And it was just life-altering. So we read that book maybe, 6 months ago, give or take. I even started a Facebook group because I reached out to everybody that I knew and just said, this is the most amazing book ever. It has changed my marriage. It has changed my life. Everybody needs to read this book. You need to understand this. It's not something people talk about. Another thing she talked about in that book is the fact that, each person has a garden, right? And so for the first, and I'll do a separate video probably more in depth on the book itself, because I think it's just so helpful, kind of a recap. But another thing that she talked about in the book is everybody comes to the planet with their own little garden. And so, each person is born and they start toddlerhood and elementary age, and things are planted in their garden for them because they're too young to plant them themselves. So your parents, your grandparents, your aunts and uncles, your neighbors, your teachers, everybody just plants little things in your garden. And at a certain age, you can look at that garden and realize, wait a minute, I don't want these things in my garden. This is my garden. I can make this choice. So these things that I like in my garden, I will keep, and I will fertilize, and I will nourish, and I will give water to, and I'll make sure there's enough sunlight. And these things in my garden, I want to grow. And these things over here, maybe it was bullying or some trauma of some sort, or neglect, or fear, or who knows what, body image issues, all that kind of stuff. That got planted in your garden without your knowledge. And so at a certain age, you can look at that and just say, body image issues? No, thank you. I'm not going to water that. I'm not going to put time and investing in that. So I will take that out and chuck it. I will weed that out. Body image issues, not something I want to deal with. That's not in my garden. Self-esteem issues, not in my garden. Not being able to stand up for myself, not in my garden. Doing what, people say and not what I want is not in my garden. Take those things out and cultivate the things that you want in your garden, because it's your garden. and you're old enough and strong enough to choose what you want in that garden. And I thought that was just like mind-blowing, because yeah, there are things in my garden that I did not put there. There are things in my garden that my parents didn't put there. It's not all my parents' fault. There are things that just society put there, like body image issues. We grew up in a household where there was, no body image negativity. But we live in a society where everything on the billboards, the magazines, the mainstream TV shows, women look a certain way, men look a certain way. You have to have straight teeth that are the right color. You have to have, a proportionate size body. You have to carry yourself in a certain way. You have to just be a certain way. There are certain types, and that's who we see in the movies and the TV shows and the rock stars and all that kind of stuff. That's why shows like The Voice and like the new one, Alter Ego, exist. That's why they exist, because it's unfair, but people with a fantastic voice can't just have a fantastic voice and be famous. You have to look a certain way in order to even be considered. Other countries aren't like that. Famous people don't have to look perfect or don't have to have, beautiful teeth or the right look. They can have big noses and wonky hair and snarly teeth and, be shaped the way that they're naturally shaped. And that's okay in other countries. But for some reason in our country, that's not okay. And that's crap. So what we grow up seeing is you need to look a certain way. You need to take care of your body a certain way. And if you don't fit that mold, you're not good enough. And that's not cool. So I, being a regularly sized, a regular, shape, when I was pregnant, I gained a lot of weight. I thought I had the right to, and I think I did. But I was very large when I was pregnant. And then after my pregnancies, I had some weight to lose. But I had some body issues that just got there. I don't know how they got there. And I didn't like it. There are parts, if we're going to get deep here, anatomy-wise, my vulva did not look the way that I expected it to look. And by the way, for those of you that don't know, here's a little PSA. Your vulva is like all of your genital area. The vagina, which is what a lot of people call it, is the actual opening to the cervix. So your vulva is like the whole thing. My vulva did not look the way that I thought. Battery died. So, I think I was here. Was I here? Here-ish. My vulva didn't look the way that I thought it should. I don't know why. I watched porn when I was younger. That was introduced to me. It was something that was planted in my garden without my consent. I was too young and with kids, some my age, some a little older, and that was introduced to me. Anyway, though, I had seen porn, and I knew that they looked a certain way and that I didn't look that way, and so I thought probably there was something wrong with me, or I just wasn't attractive. And part of this book, Come As You Are, showed me that everybody looks different, and that's okay. The way that you look is beautiful and perfect, and the way that you look. And so I took that body image thing out of my garden and just chucked it. So moving on. It's a fantastic book, and I will make a video specifically about that. What I wanted to talk about today is this new series I just found on Netflix called Sex, Love, and Goop. G-O-O-P, Goop. And apparently, sometimes I'm on top of things, and sometimes I live in a cave. This has been around for a while. Goop, I guess, has been around since 2008. It's a company that Gwyneth Paltrow founded because she realized that she had more to give to society than just, being a movie star. And so this Netflix series, Sex, Love, and Goop, is all about these different couples that all have different challenges within their relationship, and then they're matched up with experts who help them to fix those challenges, help them to come together, help them to recognize those challenges, and then move past them. And I think it is just such a good show. So I told my husband about it. He and I are watching it together. I'm telling you about it. You should watch it. It may be a good stepping stone to get to the book. Maybe books aren't your thing. I don't like to read books. I can't sit still and just flip pages, so I listen to them as I'm driving or doing chores around the house or whatever. And if you look behind me, you can see that I don't do chores around the house very often. I'm working on it though. It's one of my goals. It's on my list. So it could be the case that this Netflix series is a way to kind of like get you and your husband to the spot where you can listen to or read together, Come As You Are, or Loving What Is, one of those other books. But it was so nice to just see real life examples of people who are struggling the same way that we did, the same way that a lot of people do. And then the fact that there's an answer, there's a solution, there's a way to get beyond that and to come closer together and to be in a better spot. So I highly, highly recommend that. And then after I finish that series, it's like 6, 7, 8 episodes, I don't know. I might have watched it inside of one day. You never know, it's possible. Now I'm watching Gooplab, which is also on Netflix. I don't know if it came out before or after, but it's definitely connected, and Gwyneth Paltrow's one of the people in it, and her team. And they're talking right now about Wim Hof. He's the guy who does all the stuff with ice and cold water and breath work and that kind of stuff. And I've watched YouTube channels where people were talking about Wim Hof and like doing the cold showers and that kind of thing, but I don't know. I knew it was a thing, and I knew that some people think it's beneficial, but I didn't actually look into it at all to figure out what it actually is. And that's part of the thing that I'm doing here for you, is looking into the things and reporting back so that then you don't have to. Or so then you can think, oh, well, that one does apply to me. That one does seem interesting. I'll go ahead and look at that. So this Gooplab episode is about Wim Hof. And so I'm watching it, and it's talking all about, like, you know, your breath and how your breath can combat anxiety and physiological issues, and how the coldness can do the same thing, and how it basically can build your immunity from the inside so that you don't get sick, and so that you can heal from things that when you're already ill. And so I had heard about it, like I said, and I just didn't know what it was. And now that I'm watching this episode, I want to look into it. So I'm telling you right now, that's going to be my next probably deep dive. I tend to sort of look at things, and then I find something that kind of is shiny and sparks my interest, and I just like go head first into it and learn all the things. And so now that I'm like trying to do this on a daily basis and keep you posted and that kind of thing, I'm telling you, that's what I'm going to look into. I'm going to look into this Wim Hof stuff and read his books and watch his videos and tell you all about it. And that's really all I have to say. So the journey that my husband and I are on is ever-changing. Imagine that. And it's just so incredibly worth the effort that we're putting in. There's a class that our church is putting out. It's like a marriage class that we're going to take also. So we're talking, we're listening to podcasts, we're watching shows together, we're doing this marriage class together. I'm seeing a therapist, if I didn't already say that. All these different things in efforts to come together. And it's easy to do that. It's easy to come together when you don't have all the distractions, like when you're on vacation without the kids. You can just really focus on each other. And I'm finding that it's harder to figure out how to keep that connection while also dealing with the daily of the kids and the chores and the relatives and just the jobs and all of that stuff. So that's what I'm working on right now. So I'm going to do some chores around the house and look into this Wim Hof thing after I finish this episode. And I encourage you to check out Sex, Love, and Goop. And then after that, check out the Gooplab, and I will come back and report what I find. And if you don't know, if you want to listen to books, Scribd is an awesome place to listen to books. It's free, and it has not quite as many choices as Audible or whatever, but a ton of choices. So I would highly recommend that you look into Scribd. I'll put that in the in the description so that you guys can click on that. Anyway, hope you all are having a great day. Thank you so much for watching and for hanging out this long. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. And I'm happy, like I said, to make videos on anything you guys want. If you have any questions on anything, I'm an open book. So I hope this video helps you. I hope that you and your husband or wife or partner can take some of this advice and use it to your advantage. I am not perfect. I do not claim to be. We have struggles daily, but we're working through them. And so I hope this is helpful to you, and I'm excited to chat back with you tomorrow. So have a good day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Wrong button.